Batman is the world's greatest detective and one of the world's greatest heroes. But this video isn't focusing on his heroics, it's about the times that Batman was just a good friend. Which is actually rarer than you'd think. After all, Batman isn't exactly the best at expressing his emotions. Now, there are lots of times that he has helped friends in the capacity of being a hero, such as when he helped save Superman from Metallo, but on occasion he has helped them out in a personal capacity. He wasn't trying to save the day or helping them in a way that would further his mission to fight crime, he was just looking out for his friends, simply because they are his friends and he cares about them. And we are going to go over some of these times. He kept Wonder Woman's secret. Now, in the Justice League animated series, there is a whole will they won't they thing going on with Batman and Wonder Woman. And though they never officially started dating, they did have good chemistry and there was some very flirty moments throughout the show. And they definitely would have been a great couple, but officially, they were just close friends.
No, you and I are just good friends. There's something more between you and Diana.
Well, maybe there was.
But still, they are close enough that Batman knows that there are certain things Wonder Woman doesn't want others to know about. Such as when the evil sorceress Circe turns her into a pig. And Batman knows that she will not want the entire Justice League to know about this. And so when he sets out to turn her back to normal, he only enlists the bare minimum of help. In this case, it was Zatanna, and he asks her to keep it a secret. Which of course she does.
We could call in one of the other League magicians, Dr. Fate maybe.
No. I mean, let's keep this between us.
After all, she can definitely understand why a woman wouldn't want that getting out. And for that matter, I don't think a man would want it getting it out. It's just embarrassing on the whole, being turned into a pig, you know? And he also has to enlist B'wana Beast, because Piggy Wonder Woman makes a break for it. She doesn't quite have her own mind after all. And he needs someone to find her, and B'wana Beast is the best one to do this.
Right on. I'll yank in some of the other guys.
Let's keep the circle small. Very small.
And the cherry on top of this is that the only way to get Wonder Woman back to normal is for him to make a sacrifice to the sorceress. So he sacrifices his dignity to the sorceress, and Batman performs a romantic song at a dinner theatre.
Am I blue? Ain't these tears in my eyes telling you?
Now, Batman is a great hero, but he does care deeply about his reputation. So he may not have done this for just anyone, or he may have found another way around it, or at the very least, hesitated. But he doesn't hesitate at all to help Wonder Woman, and that truly is the mark of a good friend. He helps Aquaman through his depression. In Batman the Brave and the Bold, Aquaman is a very loud, confident, and slightly oblivious man who often invites himself along when he's not completely welcome. Well, he's not unwelcome, it's just he kind of just assumes he could come along. And it's not that people don't want him there, it's just that sometimes they prefer that he wasn't, as he can be a bit much.
Well, hello there, Danger. We meet again.
Such as when Batman is going to the alien planet Rann, and he bumps into Aquaman, and Batman is already mentally trying to think of how to politely not bring him along, while also making sure Aquaman knows he's not welcome, but, you know, not rudely. And that's when Batman realises that Aquaman is not acting like his usual self, as he is not even interested in accompanying Batman, whereas he always wants to come along on a mission normally. He's also quieter and clearly dealing with a crisis of some kind. And so even though Batman doesn't really want to bring him on the mission, he does so because he can sense Aquaman needs his help. And later the two end up having a heart-to-heart, and Aquaman confesses that he was unable to save a whale, and it had really shaken him to his core, and he has lost all of his confidence because of this. And he's been doubting whether or not he was even a true hero to begin with, or even deserved to be called a hero at all. After all, if he can't save a whale, how can he be expected to save a whole planet, or universe, or any of the other things that the Justice League do on a day-to-day basis? But Batman, very uncharacteristically, talks him through this and helps him to regain his confidence. And he does it by reminding him that heroes can't save everyone, but they save who they can, and they never give up no matter how hard it gets. And Batman did this because Aquaman is his friend, and when your friends need you, you are there for them. Even if you're busy and just don't have the time, you make time for them. And that's exactly what Batman did here. Friendly advice. In the show Young Justice, Superman is cloned by the bad guys in order to create Superboy, whom is then rescued by the teen heroes, and instead of being a mindless weapon, he becomes a hero. And understandably, he wants to get to know Superman, quite desperately in fact.
We can show you, introduce you to Superman.
But Superman is just freaked out by the whole idea of having a clone, so he just kind of avoids the issue, and Superboy, altogether. Which is kind of understandable, but it isn't the best thing for Superboy, nor is it very heroic, and considering Superman's like the ultimate hero, well, you would expect more from him. So Batman decides to get involved, and has a private word about it with Superman. And he advises Superman to get to know Superboy, to try to look past the fact that he was a cloned weapon, and see him as a real person. Which will not only help out the clone, but could actually be quite rewarding for Superman. After all, he is adding to his family. And this is a great example of Batman being a good friend, because he really didn't need to do anything, like, at all. And I think he decided to do this both for Superboy and for Superman. Because Batman knows what it is like not to have a father, and to be a father to a son you didn't expect to have. And he knows just how rewarding it can be to have a relationship and a connection like this. After all, Superman is the last of his kind, so it must be comforting to know that there is someone else like him out there. Sure, he's half human, but at least he's half Kryptonian. Now, sadly, Superman kind of dismisses the whole thing, but Batman does plant a seed in Superman's mind. A seed which eventually leads to Superman talking to Superboy, and even accepting him as part of his family. They actually call each other brothers from then on, which kind of makes sense. After all, Superboy came kind of ready grown as a teenager. I mean, if he'd been a kid or a baby, then Superman probably would have taken on more of a father mantle. But since he's a bit more grown up, a brother does kind of make more sense. With that being said, I do imagine that Superman is very much the protective older brother and surrogate father that Superboy needs. But in any case, Batman stepped up to help his best friend, and because of him, Superman eventually realised that he should bring Superboy into the Kent family. And he becomes a son to Jonathan and Martha Kent, and later on, an uncle to Superman and Lois' son, Jonathan. So clearly this was a good bit of friendly advice. He looked out for Hawkgirl. In the Justice League animated series, Hawkgirl is a member of the Justice League, whom it is eventually revealed to be a sleeper agent, and it turns out that she has been scouting out Earth for an alien invasion. It's quite the shock for the audience actually, and it's very well done by the writers. Seriously, it's a very good plot twist that no one saw coming.
We secretly sent an advanced agent to Earth to learn more about your people and to study your defenses. That agent was Lieutenant Shayera Hall.
Now eventually she does do the right thing and helps to take down the aliens, as she realises that her own people have been lying to her and that they are going to destroy the Earth, not just build a weapon there like she thought.
For Thanagar to live, Earth must die.
But even still, she did basically stab the human race in the back, and so she did end up having to leave the Justice League and was pretty much universally hated on Earth. Now eventually she does return, as she is needed, and she works to regain the trust of those she has betrayed. But while a lot of people had trouble welcoming her back, Batman was not one of them. In fact, he even looked out for her in the future. When she was approached by Hal Carter for a date, Batman checked him out and warned her that he had been stalking her a little bit by showing up to all her crime scenes and public appearances. Batman was concerned that he was a little too obsessed with her, and he did this purely to look out for a friend, so she wouldn't be emotionally hurt by Carter. We know this because Batman wouldn't think for even a second that Hawkgirl was not able to defeat him in hand-to-hand battle if things turned violent. After all, she is an amazing warrior, and Batman has a clear respect for her abilities. So he must have done it simply because they are friends, and he wanted to look out for her. Which also clearly shows that he was able to forgive her for her betrayal of the team, something Batman would only be able to do if he had a deep respect for her and really cared about her as a friend. So both of these things show him being a good friend to Hawkgirl. He doesn't give up on Superman. In one 2-part episode of the Justice League series, Superman is killed. And I mean properly killed off. The whole world mourns him, and there is a public funeral with the Justice League in attendance and everything. Well, it's almost a full attendance. Batman has trouble dealing with loss, and so he does not attend the funeral. Or at least that's what most people think. But Wonder Woman did see him in the shadows of the funeral, so he was actually there. But the reason he is not publicly there is because he does not actually believe that Superman actually died, even though everyone else in the world has given up on him.
I'm afraid it's time, Master Bruce.
I'm not going to the funeral.
Why?
Because he's not dead.
The Justice League even try to replace him on the team and sort of give Lobo a trial with this position. Well, I say sort of because Lobo just kind of insists and won't leave, and since they no longer have Superman on the team, they're not quite strong enough to just kick him out as easily, so they just kind of go along with it for a bit. And meanwhile, Batman is researching all the evidence of the crime scene, analysing anything and everything he can get his hands on, searching for signs of Superman and different theories on what could have possibly happened to him. And he finds absolutely nothing. And he actually does start to think he might be wrong because there is just no evidence at all. And he does say that this nothing is what makes him think he might have been transported to a different place. But at the same time, he can't find any evidence to support this theory, and so eventually he kind of thinks he might be wrong. And he ends up having a heart-to-heart with Superman's statue, telling Superman that he always respected him, and that Superman gave Batman hope for the future. Which, oddly enough, is where Superman is. He is not dead, obviously, but was simply transported into the future, which naturally is a post-apocalyptic world that was destroyed by Vandal Savage. Now, Superman does eventually return, and the League rejoices, except for Batman, who says that he never thought he was really dead in the first place. But still, he's clearly very happy to see him. And I honestly think this shows just how good a friend Batman is to Superman, or at least just how much he cares about Superman, because he flat out refused to accept that he was dead, more so than anyone else. Now true, Batman did sneak into the funeral, just in case he was wrong, but that's simply because no man would ever miss the funeral of their best friend. But I think you'll agree that if Batman is holding out hope for this long, with literally no evidence to support the fact that Superman is still alive, well, clearly he does care about him a great deal, or else he would not be acting like this.
Batman hasn't arrived. Have you spoken with him?
He's still not answering calls. He doesn't handle loss very well.
And I have to say that the conversation Batman has with Superman's statue not only shows his feelings, but is actually very touching. And those are the best times that Batman was a good friend. Now I would say that the best one in my opinion is when he helps Aquaman through his depression. I've suffered with depression over the years, and I know from experience that having someone there to help you is essential, and it's also quite rare, as it is not a pretty illness to deal with, and only the truest of friends will stand by you and help you to get through it. Though I also love him protecting Wonder Woman's reputation. I mean, that is a juicy story to tell. The time that Wonder Woman got turned into a pig. I mean, come on. If you were there, you would have to tell friends about that. And only a friend who truly cares about her could possibly resist telling it to all his other friends. And although Batman isn't exactly the most talkative or conversational person, still, even he would have mentioned that to someone. But he doesn't, out of respect for her. So it does show some real friendship there. But which one of these was your favourite friendship moment? And are there any other times Batman was a good friend that you think should have been included on this list? Feel free to let us know in the comments, and I'd just like to quickly remind everyone that we have some merchandise available on our store, and to say thanks to all of you who have donated to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.